Good morning. So I'm going to present you the 2-year estimate of overall survival in the COMBI-V study, a randomized open-label phase 3 study comparing the combination of trametinib plus dabrafenib versus vemurafenib in first-line therapy in patients with advanced BRAF mutant melanoma. So these are my disclosures. So this is a phase 3 randomized study, 1-to-1, with 704 patients, half of them randomized into the two arms, dabrafenib plus trametinib versus vemurafenib. The primary endpoint of the study was overall survival. This was the planned design with an interim analysis of overall survival after 202 events, and we had planned a final OS analysis after 280 events. And finally, the interim analysis with the data cutoff of April 2014 became the final analysis because at that time the OS analysis showed that there was a significant improvement in the combination arm, so the IDMC recommended to stop the study for efficacy. And the study has been published this year. Now, what I present today is with an additional 11 months of follow-up, what is the 2-year OS estimate of this study. So these 11 additional months correspond to, for the patient, of a median additional follow-up of 8 months. 8 months. So this is the result. Look at these two curves. They continue to be nicely separated. And you can have here, you can see the 2-year survival of 51% of the patient in the combination arm versus 38% in the vemurafenib arm. And we reach a median overall survival of 25.6 months in the combo arm, which is actually the longest overall survival reached in a randomized study in this population of patients, the longest ever. If you look at the patients that are censored, we still have quite a lot of patients censored. What is quite promising, if you look at the patients who are censored but still on treatment in the combination arm, you see that we have 98 patients, whereas we have only 33 patients in the vemurafenib arm, which is actually quite promising, because these patients are still on the study treatment. So maybe they still respond, we hope. In terms of PFS, the study continues, of course, to be positive. We have a median PFS of more than 1 year in the combination arm versus 7.3 in the vemurafenib arm. If you look at the response rate, you see complete responder, objective responders in 66% of the patients in the combination arm, with 17% of complete responses versus 53% of objective response and 10% in the vemurafenib arm. Look at the duration of response, median 13.8 months versus 8.5. And look at the confidence interval, they don't even overlap. So it's quite interesting. Now we had stratification points, and LDH level was one of the stratification factor. So if we look at the population, the subpopulation of patients with low LDH, you know it's a good prognosis to have low LDH, and it's really the population of patients for whom we don't know if we should begin with immunotherapy or targeted therapy. It's interesting to see that for this subpopulation of patients, we have actually a very good benefit with this treatment if we did not reach the median OS. And in terms of PFS, it's 17.5 months. So it's more benefit in this subpopulation of patients with this combination compared to vemurafenib as compared to the high LDH population, which remains a medical need, whatever treatment we use actually. In terms of follow-up therapy, because now we have drugs that can influence the survival, we know. We have, of course, BRAF inhibitor, but it's mostly the immunotherapy that could have been given afterwards that could influence the overall survival. If you look at the repartition of immunotherapy in the two arms, you see that it was given a little bit more in vemurafenib than in the combination arm. So if it had an influence, it was mostly in favor of the vemurafenib arm. So it does not change, doesn't bias our result with a benefit for the combination arm. Now, in terms of adverse events, we wanted to see if this additional period of follow-up was showing some additional signal in terms of safety. So we looked at the adverse event that led to treatment discontinuation, and you see that it is not the case. It's quite similar in terms of number of patients. We still have around 10–12% of the patients who had to discontinue. So we don't increase the toxicity by this additional time under treatment. So in conclusion, this combination improves overall survival over vemurafenib with a median overall survival which is the longest ever reached for this population of patients in any randomized trial. We improve all the endpoints, PFS, response rate, and duration of response versus vemurafenib. The longest benefit is for the patients with a low LDH, and for this population of patients, we have 65% of the patients alive at 2 years. The adverse events profile doesn't show any additional signal of toxicity with this additional median 8 months of follow-up for the patient. And finally, the results are very comparable to the COMBI-D study, the other phase 3 study. So this really confirms that the combination of dabrafenib and trametinib is superior to a BRAF inhibitor monotherapy. And this really supports the use of this treatment as a standard care for patients with the BRAF mutant melanoma.